Okay, guys, I'm excited about this video. You know why I'm excited about this video? I love this airplane. I love flying it in real life. I flew it back. Last time I flew was 1997. And I've been part of the quality assurance team, which basically is a flight tester for TFDi. The development team has, for the first time ever, allowed me to release one of my videos publicly. Up until now, I've been producing videos, dozens of them, just for the CE1000, which is the initial collector's edition pilots, to get us all on the same page, standardization. Yesterday, I flew with great success, and I loved it, the PMDG 777 on this exact same flight with active sky going and FS realistic. I'm using FSIPanel profile, which is has real-time communications. Very exciting news, FSIPanel just put in the 777 as one of their aircraft and the MD-11. It's only a handful of aircraft, and they did it. TFDi released the information to them, and they were able to do it. So today's the first flight, still in the beta testing, with FSIPanel active for the MD-11. As I mentioned, the PMDG 777 also had it activated yesterday. Exciting times. I highly recommend FSIPanel. Without going into that, I go into that a bunch of my other videos on other airplanes. But you gotta get this airplane in the PMDG 777. It's expensive, I know, to buy two airplanes, guys, but these things are rocking. They're really great. This airplane first came out, as you know, in 1986. It was developed by McDonnell Douglas Corporation. Eventually, McDonnell Douglas did buy Boeing. It first was delivered to Finnair, I think, 1991. I flew it from 1992 to 1997. Took a break in there somewhere when it went away from New York. I flew it as a first officer, not as a captain, mostly to London, the Caribbean, and Buenos Aires. But first time I ever stepped foot in this cockpit with TFDi, I wanted to cry. It's that emotional for a pilot getting back in. It brings you back in time to a time when I was 30-something years old, not a retired airline captain at 65 years old. Same thing with the 777. I get in there and I retired off that in September, and pretty emotional when the PMDG 777 came out, and I went in there with those sheepskin seats, and oh, the cockpit was just like coming home. Anyway, there it is. Cold, dark airplane. We'll take a look at the cabin and everything. I did this with the PMDG yesterday. Both great airplanes. I'm not going to really compare them because they're almost identical. Great developers. The TFDi has definitely made their airplanes look more aged. That's what the intent was, not to have it be brand spanking new. The PMDG looks like it just rolled out of the factory. The TFDi took great length to make them look like they sort of look today with FedEx, UPS, Lufthansa Cargo. They're tired, but this airplane was state-of-the-art when it first came out. It is not fly-by-wire. Has all sorts of interesting things, as you'll learn. Let me show you a couple of things before we get started that will be important as we go along. TFDi is in the process of doing all the checklists. These are my checklists that they're modifying right now. The pre-flight, origination pre-flights right here. They'll have a proximity of that developed. A normal procedures checklist, which you would run after the pre-flight checklist, FMS checklist, and emergency procedures card, and the systems, interactive systems display, all coming your way with the delivery of the product. Pretty cool stuff. I'll be using all this stuff today. Also, as I mentioned, we have a FSIPanel, which, if you're not familiar with it, you'll see me popping it up here as we get going. And I just want to show you what it's like and some of the cool things that are available now with the 777 and the MD-11. It's called FSIPanel, Trained Like Real Pilots. It's run by a guy named JP. He has a great Discord, $50 program. I highly recommend it. It says 22 right. We're actually going to be going off 31 left. You got to fly the profile just as they do it. So setup. Here it is. Licensing information, troubleshooting options. You can set up to multiple approaches, define what a downwind base, beams yourself up, and it will set your program. The ones that have full coverage are Mad Dog, PMDG aircraft, there it is. First time ever, 777. Fly-by-wire, any builds, Phoenix A320. And check this out. TFDi MD-11, the beta phase is about to come up here. So TFDi gave them what they needed. They put it in here. I'm going to be trying it out today. Why do you want that? Well, after landing check, but if you bring up one notch of flaps, you can get it'll run the after landing checklist for you. You can build yourself a co-pilot. How do you do that? Options. Take a look right here. Cockpit flows. Select a button or a key. What you do is I have a F2 key on my hostage stick, which I use for nose wheel steering. If I press that, the trigger key rather, if I trigger it, it'll run the next some checklist for me. I'll show you how that works. That's really cool. It's also, as I mentioned, scenarios, push to talk. You can auto tune the next frequency on COM 1. If you click it, push to talk's enabled. I have my yoke stick on my Boeing yoke. It's push to talk, and also you can have it say again button, which is the F2 key on my hostage stick. You can set all that. So you can basically build after landing flows for different checklists. You can have the co-pilot tune the next frequency. You can have voice and text where the clearances are up there for you. And of course you have all the comm panel. But I got to close that out so we get ready. Anyway, that's a little bit of a overview of what we're going to do. We're going to fly up using the FSIPanel 2020 for Microsoft Flight Simulator. We're going to go up from New York to Boston, just like we did yesterday in the PMDG 777. This time we're going to do it in my my baby here, the MD-11, which I've been working on for 10 months with these guys. I got to tell you, I mentioned it yesterday, the development process. Wow, what an honor to be involved in that. Quite an honor. If you go, this is the flight we'll be flying, by the way. Scenarios, open scenario manager, list of aircraft, generic aircraft today. We're going to be flying this flight right here. In green means it's already been downloaded. The weather's been downloaded. They want you to start at a certain position, Terminal 5, Delta 20 to Delta 30, and we were at Delta 25. You got to start and put in the flight level on the sim brief. You go to sim brief flight plan. You file the routing, the appropriate routing. How do you know the routing? Open the lesson plan, and I always write down everything in here. Gives you exactly what to expect. The weathers. You don't have the data information. The clearance, taxi plan, all the different malfunctions or diversions that are planned for the flight, go rounds, all sorts of things. Very, very cool. Anyway, and I write down these frequencies so I'm ready to go to get the next one. So it's sort of like VATSIM without being yelled at. That's kind of how I kind of describe it. Anyway, that's an overview of FSIPanel. That's an overview of the MD-11 and the checklist. And let's go in the cold dark airplane and we'll get started here. And that's about as cold and dark as you get. Here we go. So I'm going to go through the Origination Preflight all the way. We'll go all the way to Shutdown at Boston. If you haven't been in the MD-11, they've obviously gone to great length to produce it in as great detail as possible. These advanced malfunctions, whatever they call it, is going to be active in, after release. You'll have some active circuit breakers. There's actually 3 fire bottles that need to be in the green band, 1, 2, and another one's down behind the captain's seat, back down in there, 3, and you want to check those all in the green band. That's the pressure breathing equipment. You want to make sure that's in the blue seal for no moisture. There's the pins and gear pins in case you get stuck out, spare gear pins. There's a flashlight. There's that other oxygen bottle I was talking about. That's the ELT the captain would grab in the highly unlikely ditching scenario. You come in, you check, just to give you a view, cockpit orientation here. The second observer seat would fold down here. That's their oxygen panel. They don't have a comm panel. First observer seat swivels. That's where the old engineering station would be. That's their comm panel. That's their oxygen. That's the first aid kit that's available. You want to check up and make sure that the escape ropes are in there. Look through the window, and the window's closed and locked, and that goes for both sides. Escape ropes there, windows closed and locked. With that, you just come up the middle. You haven't sat down yet. Make sure there's no maintenance triangles here to tell you don't touch anything. Pick up the logbook. You'd already have reviewed the electronic logbook. If there's a paper logbook, pick it up. Make sure that there's no write-ups that means you shouldn't be touching the airplane. And this is what she'd look like. A little bit of cockpit orientation on the MD-11, 6 identical CRTs. This is the captain's PFD, CRT, nav display, EAD, engine alert display system display control panel, FO's nav display, and FO's PFD. 3 identical MCDUs. This is the captain's FMS MCDU, FO's FMCDU, and this is the maintenance FMCDU. We'll be using it for ACARS if you fly VATSIM or IVAO. Up here, this is the glare shield control panel, this whole thing. In the middle is the mode control panel, and over here is the EIS. The captain's EIS, FO's EIS, mode control panel, whole thing's the glare shield control panel. This is a systems display control panel. You can call up any system, it'll display over here. This is the flap lever here. If you take a look, kind of cool. This is very unique to McDonnell Douglas, of course, is dial a flap. First setting brings the slats extend. Second setting goes to whatever you have in dial a flap. We're going to have 15 set in here today. I'll put that in now. Why not? Save ourselves a move around. And then you have 3 radios here. VHF 1, VHF 2, VHF 3 is dedicated to ACARS. There's the radar. Turn on the radar here, and that's pretty much for cockpit orientation. Coming up the middle, the things that you check, safety checks, are about to put power on the aircraft. Is fuel control switches to cut off, engine start selectors are pushed in, throttles to idle, reverse levers are down, flap slat lever is up. This is the speed brake lever is down, radar is off, gear handle is down. This is all, guys, on the cockpit flow. So this is just cockpit safety inspection. We'll be using this flow indicated here. As I mentioned, don't worry, you'll have this when you buy our airplane here. Call it ours, even though I'm an unpaid intern. Definitely part of the team. Gear handles down. Remember, you're about to put power on the aircraft. The wipers are off, so you don't want to scratch any windshield. You would make sure nav lights are on and go right to the overhead. And with that, we're going to say the dump manifold, the dump switch is covered and no light. Well, it's not the power. Manifold switch is covered. And that's it. So now we can come in and turn on the battery, open the cover. Battery. You see the external power is available, which means the volts and freaks are good. You don't have to check them. So it's 400 on the freaks and volts are 115. And that's plus or minus. Notice that the screens are blank. It's a slow spin up. Normally, they come up a little fast in the sim. Turn on the external power, and the CRTs would normally take a few minutes to warm up. TFDi has modeled it, but they had it come up a little slower, a little quicker, in the interest of saving a little bit of time. There, I'll tell you, they have gone to great lengths to make this thing accurate. Now, when I turn on the IRUs, IRSs here, you're going to see a cargo fire test. 1, 2, 3, and you come down here. And you check for the cargo fire messages on the EAD, and you would have the master warning light, and come back to the overhead. And that's good. So now you go down to the box. You can turn up the brightness if you want, but we're going to go FMC, actually menu, FMC, database, MD-11 CF6-80s. The TFDi MD-11 has a bunch of different models. They have passenger model, which we're in today, with CF6-80s, which is what I flew. They have passenger model with Pratt & Whitney's, freighters with both engines, and they have an extended range version as well. Here's the database, and here we are currently on June 30th, and we're right in the middle of our database. Go to FlightPlan.net and initialize the IRS. That's really all you have to do for right now on that. Now with that out of the way, one guy would do the walk around, and one guy would do the initialization of the FMC and start the origination preflight. But you and I, we're going to go look around. we go, doing our little walk around. Give you a view of this beautiful bird, then we'll take a walk through the cabin. It is a work in progress. This is not released yet. It should be released shortly. The art is being updated as we speak. AP is not running right now. I've got my little controller going here. Come in through the aft. Welcome to the aft galley. Typically, I forget how many flight attendants we had on here, 9. If you were going to do a super long haul flight, like 11 to 12 hours, probably have 11. See, they've already gone through. And so much different than TFDi. TFDi simulates a brand new 777-300, and this is simulating a much-loved MD-11. Why did this thing make it as a passenger version? Because the 777 and the A330 came out, and the E-Tops got approved very quickly for twin engine operations, and it also came in a little short on its range. It's been a great cargo bird. It didn't have the seat in the back, the videos in the back, so it just had these monitors up here. Remember those days? People smoke on these airplanes when I first got on it. That's how old I am. That's why you don't see TVs in the back of the seats, because they didn't have TVs in the back of the seats during the MD-11 days. They had these monitors, and they didn't have the swivel seats. They had these business class seats. That was state of the art at the time. So it's a more of a vintage airplane than the PMDG 777-300, which still flies today. And there's the galley, a little less aged and loved than the aft galley. Very cool. Very cool. Anyway, that is the TFDi cabin. We'll come up here. We'll get ready for the APU start. Take a look at that as we get going. All right, let's go back inside. Hope you enjoyed this, guys. This is not a competition. It honestly isn't, because both airplanes are absolutely phenomenal. See how, let's turn up some lights in here. It's kind of a cloudy day. I have a hyper scroll on my mouse wheel that I bought this Razor wheel, and you just kind of click it and slide it. It goes all the way up. That's not good. Come up here. And guys, if you haven't flown with me before, I'm relatively new to sim world. I've only been simming about a year. Retired, as I mentioned, back in September. It's one of my retirement hobbies. As one of my subscribers says, hey, you don't golf, right? So this is what I do for time. I should have the nav lights on because power is on the aircraft. So get those lights up. If you want to come down, which I would come all the way down, like to the radio panel, and move it on down, and I would turn up all the screens. These are the systems display control panel. I'll give you a little bit of an orientation on that too, that you might enjoy. Turn up all 6 CRTs. All right, this is systems display control panel, SDCP. See these lights on? That tells you that there's an associated issue. So engine, for instance. You can see all the issues here on the EAD and system display control panel. If you press engine, the one that's associated to the engine comes up. In this case, ignition. So like I said, this was state of the art when it came out in 1986. And it was an honor to fly it. I was so impressed. I was in love with this airplane. Still am. Miscellaneous. And that's how you can check some things out. They'll be all gone. Have a thing called a green box where you're looking for takeoff and landing. Means everything is ready to go. Pretty cool. So anyway, why don't we do this? Why don't we go and get the FMC program? We'll do the Origination Preflight. We'll get going. But while we're doing that, let's let the people on board here.
This parking is too small for your aircraft.
Press boarding.
Boarding requested.
I always use my old alma mater here. All right, let's go over to the EFB and talk about that. Options, little bit dark, isn't it? It's kind of cloudy today. not going to put my Hoppy code in under options, but I put in my SimBrief username. Hoppy code you get, but can't do that because y'all would be able to use it. It's free, so I don't know why someone would use it. You can impersonate. You can impersonate me. I don't know why anyone would want to do that either.
Pilot's
But
boarding
you
starting.
could. So anyway, that's under general. Just make sure you get that filled out. Username because you're about to come to dispatch. Import flight plan. And send flight plan here to JFK to Boston. That's right field. Click on it. Flight plan set.
Crew boarding starting.
Payload is set. That's simple as that. If you want to view departure charts, sign into Navigraph, same as every other aircraft. You can come in here and get your iPhone out, or you can go to the Navigraph website and sign in with that code, or you can sign in your own Navigraph account using this. Go through, push all those buttons, and it says approve for TFDi. Yes, sir, TFDi, welcome aboard. And there you go. And now it's got KJFK there, taxi, and we'll just say, and I'll show you where we're parked. We are parked right over here. We're going to push back, nose to the left, go out Delta Alpha Bravo. How do I know that? Because I did the lesson plan on the FSIPanel. Plus, I flew this yesterday, so I kind of know what to expect. So going over the EFB like I did yesterday with the other thing. Let's start with the options.
Crew has boarded.
Screen brightness, I've got it all the way up,
Starting.
although it looks a little bit dark. Just self-explanatory. Iris align time, I have it on realistic. SimBrief username, Hoppy code you get for free. Go there, and then up here, systems. Pick your systems. Tape displays. If you want the vertical tapes, enable it. That I have round dial set. That's the default. Everything you see here is default. This is roll control wheel steering is disabled. It's bad enough with the LSAS, which we'll talk about. So this is caution and warning system. I have everything enabled and saved for all these call-outs. And you could go through that on your own. And high efficiency flat pylon, deflected airlines, I just have them disabled for now. Those are saved. We did dispatch. Remember, flight plan, payload. Here's a payload. After you do that, it's all updated. Performance. You can do takeoff and landing data performance. We can play with it right now if you want. Let's go to runway 31 left. Even though Kennedy's actually operating on 22 right, we have to do this and get the weather information. And this weather is the current Kennedy weather, but we're using actually the FSIPanel weather. Takeoff weight, get takeoff weight. Now I'm going to do thrust setting. Flex is fine. Anti-ice, none. Flaps are optimum. Now we use specific. Let's go flaps 15. Just to say, I know like FedEx I think uses, or UPS, one of them uses 10 all the time. Can't remember what we use. Packs are on. And get takeoff weight. And we did all that. Packs are on. Now calculate. Takes a second. There you go. And we'll use that when we come back. That's our charts. Services. Right now we have GPU is connected. Wheel chocks. I'll remove the wheel chocks and park the brake. GPU, we're boarding back there. GPU, disconnect. Nope, not yet. So let's go to the overhead and we'll run the Origination Preflight here. So we did the cockpit safety inspection. We get up, we pop initial power up set here. We come all the way to the top. If you go all the way to the upper overhead, make sure the fire handles are all the way in the normal position. Cargo fire test, we did that to manual. Irises are already aligned. There you go. Within 10 minutes, you press the voice recorder circuit breaker. There it goes into the green band. Hope you saw that. If you say something inappropriate, you press and hold this switch. Generator fault lights are all out. Galley buses, they'll be shed if you have an overload. Just reset those, get that coffee going. We'll go. Puppies are in the back. You want that on high. Usually we keep cargo temps at high and aft. FADEC, which is like EEC in the Boeings, controls your engine power settings, overboost, things like that. Engine ignition, no lights, and guarded. Engine ignition is off. We'll have that on for start. Wipers are off, as we mentioned. Fuel dump emergency stop switch is off. All the way up top. There's a hydraulic pressure test. You can open the case. First flight of the day. Test that. No need to watch it. If you wanted to watch things, guys, you can always go down to the systems display control panel and knock yourself out. I'm not going to do it. But there it is, hydraulic pressure test. Watch the pumps go on and off and test themselves. Okay, coming back down. We're into the electrical panel. Emergency power to arm. We'll start the APU. If you're going to start the APU, I'd recommend there's two ways to do it. One is on the APU control panel up here, start stop switch. I wouldn't use that. I would use the one on the electrical panel. Reason is after you start engines, it'll automatically shut down the APU bleed and the APU. Up here, wherever you start it from, you got to shut it down from. So let's do the fire test. This is engine and APU. See light right there in the handle.
Engine
3 messages.
1, fire.
Fire warning.
Engine 2, fire. Engine
3 lights in the
fire.
handle.
Engine 1, fire.
And then press the master warning. The lights go out, back to the overhead. And now you are cleared to start the APU. If there's a problem with that hydraulic pressure test when it's finished, it'll come up in the EAD down there. APU is starting. And while that's starting, let's go outside. Maybe I have not ever actually checked this. Let me see if we modeled the exhaust. It's going to go through a bunch of tests. That's the APU exhaust door right there. I think once it's going, it should be starting right about now. I hear it. Let's go inside.
Good morning.
It's up and running. Evidently, it's not modeled just yet. We'll see about that. So external power, once you get that APU on, I would turn it off and I'd run the APU bleed to get the packs running. Once again, take a look. They've aged this aircraft. That's the whole idea here. I'm going to go back to the EFB and take off the GPU. As soon as they hear that APU going, they come in and they run it. Let's take a look. GSX is back here. Hi, folks. Welcome to the walls. A little Harry Potter action, just like yesterday. Very cool. I like to leave this drone back here. I'm using, by the way, somebody asked yesterday, my guy Benchy on my Discord, I have an Xbox controller plugged in. It recognizes it a controller and just set that as your drone, which is kind of cool. If you know Xbox, you can fly this thing around pretty easily. Even an old guy like me can do that. Okay, that's that. Let's go back to the overhead and finish up. And then we'll program the box. Like I said, one guy do the walk around, another guy would do the overhead, program the box. But I just want to go through some of these things first time. All right, here's our air conditioning panel. Systems in automatic. If it wasn't, you'd see manual. Econ is on permanently, otherwise it would say off. If you turn off the econ, we used to do this to clear smoke because it gives a higher airflow. You have 1% greater fuel burn. Packs load. We have 220 people, plus flight attendants, be 228, we'll say, on this little flight. You put in, 230 is fine. You put in the packs because that meters the amount of air that's needed off the engine bleeds. Obviously, if you're flying empty and you put 0 in there, it would bleed less off for the packs. So that with econ will give you the most efficient burn. So you definitely want to fill in that. If you put in 300, it's going to work those bleeds a little bit harder. The mask light is out. By the way, there's a guy, a lot of you guys that are experts. This TFDi team, we have 2 active pilots on the MD-11. Myself, retired pilot. We have an active Boeing engineer, senior Boeing engineer, who corrects me all the time, thankfully. We have active senior mechanics for UPS and FedEx. We have all sorts of systems systems developers, a few creators. I'm a kind of a hybrid myself, but we're all unpaid interns to support the development team, and it's been an honor and a privilege to be part of it. Hydraulic tests obviously test, otherwise I would say hydraulic pressure tests fail here. Anyway, a little bit of that. little bit of this. Check the fuel. The way that the airplane is fueled is they fill up the tanks evenly. Let's go to the fuel panel. Would be a better way to do this. Is fuel.
Hello.
See how this center tank's a little bigger, so they put even in the fuel. In today's case, it's even. That's a proper distribution. Once the mains are 1 and 3 mains are full, the center tank main, number 2, they fill that up to the higher fuel. Then it's the upper aux, lower aux, and eventually the tail tank. The purpose of the tail tank is for CG control and for fuel warming. If the fuel gets within 3 degrees of freezing, it cycles it back and forth through the tail to keep it from freezing up, and otherwise it sends fuel back and forth to keep the CG at the most optimum burn for all phases of flight. I think it's 19,750 feet. It transfers all the tail fuel forward so that it's all forward before a landing. I think we programmed it here at TFDi to start that prior to the top of descent. The fuel is there. I'm going to test the fuel panel. I want you to see that the fuel is 38.1. I'm going to test the fuel. You're going to get 18880 followed by 10.5. 18880, 10.5. The totalizer should be 52.4. And there it is, 52.4. The only time you'd see a difference if you selected ER, extended range. They only built 5 of those things. This would say 63. The fuel would say 63. I think that Mustafa corrected me on that one when I made a write-up on it. Anyway, all right, so that's the fuel panel. Let's go back to the overhead. A little more extensive debrief than I gave you yesterday since I've been working on this airplane. Okay, over here in the lighting panel, emergency lights, we want to go to ARM, test them. All the rest of the lights are out. See these 3 lights that are on, they're actually off, but the lights are illuminated, and you have these 3 lights aren't. You want that nav light on whenever you have power, this beacon whenever you start, high intensity whenever you take off. We'll turn on no smoking signs. Sounds like they've finished boarding, so I'm going to go ahead and go. Just in the interest of time,
is too small for your
prepare for pushback. Let them go through the gyrations out there. So we've got these all up high, dome lights here, thunderstorm lights right here. If you turn on thunderstorm, it turns everything to bright, so that if you go with the thunderstorm, you still have good visibility. Dome lights we turn on sometimes at night when we're flying,
Captain.
so we're not as sleepy. I'm going to ignore GSX right now. If you had a call light on here, you could reset it with this button. Here's a mechanic call. Back up high. Up top, APU panel evac switch should be armed. The switch cover is up. That's how you turn it on.
Departure checks completed. Bypass pin inserted.
This is the AFS panel, Auto Flight System panel. This houses the yaw damper, which is for Dutch roll, and the LSAS, famous system on the MD-11. When they stretched the DC-10, it was to give it longitudinal stability augmentation system. It's what makes the MD-11 feel a little bit tight in the pitch axis, a little twitchy in the pitch axis. Very famous for that. Flap limits in auto, elevator feels in auto. Naturally, as you get faster, you have less elevator feel, slower, more elevator feel.
Locking gear.
While we're up here, these couple little circuit breakers sticking there. This is a train override. You would press that if you were in VMC conditions, and you were getting a terrain indication, and you're looking at the runway, and you know there's no terrain. But you never want to hit that. But so that's if the GPS, that's if the inertial navigation system is disoriented, doesn't know where it is. Flap override, you would use this if you had an abnormal flap landing configuration. You weren't landing with flaps 35 or 50. Let's say you were landing with flaps 28 for engine issues or flight control issues, something less than that. You go to flap override, so you didn't get the too low flaps message. Now the caution and warning system in the GPWS system, the 6 stages, have been accurately updated for syncing on departure and terrain and all sorts of other things. They've done a nice job with that. I tested that in the beta phases for our group. I think Fabio Almeida did it. This is cabin pressure. It's in auto right now. You go to manual. You don't want that. Outflow valve, you're supposed to check it in full open. And so you go down here. Oh, is it not cooperating, huh, guys? Let me try to get this going here. Yeah, for some reason it locked up there. But here we are. Got it back again. So if you look at the landing elevation up at Boston is programmed to 30 feet, and the outflow valve is full open. Taking a look at the air page, this is your duct temperature. You see 230 passengers limited. This is your asked for temperature in the cyan. The actual cabin temperature is in blue. What you asked for is in cyan. These are the cargo temperatures. This is all the packs, crossfeed, APU, crossfeed valves, and everything. Engine bleed temperatures, all under air. I think I'll put this guy on. I obviously did not do this long of a video yesterday for the 777. I wasn't involved with them. Engine ice, I wanted to be, but obviously for conflict of interest reasons I couldn't be. Here's the engine ice. It's all off. The windshield anti-ice you want to turn on. Defog is on as well all the time. It says off if you press it. Windshield anti-ice on. The engine anti-ice you would turn on after engine start. If you had 10 degrees Celsius, 50 degrees Fahrenheit, invisible moisture on the taxiways or in the air, and the wing is above 1,000 feet. If you thought you had icing on your airframe, usually we did that by looking at the vertical stanchion here to see if you got ice there, you put it on as a technique. Enunciator test, you would not believe how difficult this is to get right. Check every light, see any light bulbs burnt out, you call maintenance, but that is a lot harder to program than you think. Fuel used, I reset that every flight. Cargo door test, you can press that, get that going. Engine max pointer, you first look at the system display control panel engine. You look to make sure you don't have any exceedances, which would be a red box, and if that's the case, you come up and you can reset the pointers. Otherwise, you call maintenance. Ditching switch, think of it, the Sully switch closes the outflow valve, overboard exhaust valve, so you float better in the river. And that's just, they must have had room, so they put a pressurization schedule up here for you to check and cross-reference. With that out of the way, if you remember, we're going to come across the top here. Where are we? Let me get that up for you. Come across the Origination control panel, across the CRTs, then down the center, making our way over, and then we'll program the box for fun, just a blast. Okay, so first thing we do, come across the Origination control panel. I like to use data, traffic, and airport. That's just my personal technique. Altimeters are set for now. That's how you turn on the radar. As down here, I know yesterday 777's up here. The most thing you're setting here right now at this stage is you're really just looking at the units. This should be an indicated airspeed, not Mach. This should be in heading, not track. This should be in feet, not meters. And you're in vertical speed, not flight path angle. And the FS override switchers are up. But today we can set in our runway heading, which is 314. We keep 250 in this window. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute as we get going. And we want to put in our runway heading, which is 314. Will be a nav departure. And our altitude is 5,000. I've got my Logitech panels doing this, guys. Let me talk a little bit about manipulating the flight control panel here. Glare shield control panel, EIS, flight control panel. That means push, that means pull. On the MD-11, if you pushed, you got what you currently have. If you pulled, you got what's in the window. So this would, say you're climbing through 22,600 feet, if you pushed it, it would hold that, it would go altitude hold. If you pull, it would go flight level change up there. Heading, same thing, same principle. You push it, your current heading, say heading 240, it would roll out on 240 heading. You pull it, it's going to go heading select to whatever's in the window. Same thing here, you push it, and it holds your current speed. You pull it, it holds the speed in the window. You get FMS speed, nav, and profile. Today we're going to be taking off in nav, nav's arm. We'll take off in profile as well. We'll do that later as we get going. And we'll auto flight. Toga. So here's your toga switch for go around, right here. There's no hot switch. The way you get into takeoff power here on the MD-11, is you arm the auto flight before you take the runway. I want to do it before you take the runway because when you get up over 70%, it kicks into toga. So you arm the auto flight. That's basically arming toga to go, that when you come up above 70% on your throttles and one, it'll engage toga automatically. We'll talk more about that as we get going. Right now, though, we're going to be a nav departure. We'll talk about that in a minute. And 5,000 feet, 314. FO has their side. All the altimeters, you cross-check them. Coming down the middle, this is center gear. If you're going to land center gear up, you'd have that switch there selected. Check the altimeters within 70 feet of field elevation. Just press and hold the standby attitude indicator. There we go. I'm going to set this to TO. Boeing's, it's RTO, TO. Anti-skid is on. This is your brake pressure. We're going to push back with aux hydraulic pump 1 on. Guy's probably dying for me to do that box, right? Once again, we've got parking brakes are set now. Spoiler lever is down. Throttles are idle. Thrust reversers are down. And let me just show you one other thing. Overboost breakout bar right there. It's called overboost breakout bar. We always called it breakout bar. Make sure it's pulled full aft. That would be pushed forward if you're just in a terrible situation. Let's say you've lost 2 engines and you want everything that GE CF60, CF6-80 can give you. You break it out. And that overrides the FADEC and gives you everything the air engine has to give you. So if you saw that forward, I would say maybe a kid's been playing with it in the cockpit. You have to press it pretty hard to do the overboost breakout bar, push that forward, but make sure that's full aft. These are the engine start selectors are off, fuel control switches are off, and we'll set up our radios here. Now we're going to use FSI control. I swear it's a little darker in here than it usually is. Let me set up the comm panel. Comm 1, it's going to be a clearance delivery 3505, 3505. Yeah, I definitely apologize. This is a little darker in here. 3505. I've got all the lights all the way up to just not a nice day out there. 3505, and then that'll be followed by ground control at Kennedy 219. Truth is, we'd push back probably with whatever the ramp controller was, but today will be ground. Push back with flight FSIPanel. The pre-can, there it is. So clearance delivery, ground control. Then if you go over to COM 2 on FSIPanel, ATIS is always 2345. No matter where you are in the world, it's 2345. Well, the other frequencies, JP over at FSIPanel has gone through great lengths to, and no, I'm not part of the team over there. I'm not getting paid for this. I just really have a lot of respect. He's a captain, French citizen, and captain for Middle East Airline, and a guard on the other side. So the radios are set up. 8 cars in here. If you're going to go VAT simming or IVAO, you can come in here. You can set up your pre-flight. You can do a bunch of things. Departure clearance, oceanic. If you have your Hoppy code, you're good to go. Receive the company message. So it's got CPDLC in 8 cars. We're not going to use it today. Radar is off. Won't run the test on it right now. It's not model. We don't have an active working radar right now. We're going to set the squawk. I did it yesterday. It was 2256. I think I'll set that in now and turn that on. We'll talk about it when the time comes. 2256 TARA. So it's a 3-step process. Put in the code, turn on the radar, and slide it all around. Okay, right down the middle, we have to check the takeoff warning. Number 1 throttle is first.
Stabilizer.
Wait till you hear stabilizer again.
Full lap.
It's just telling you what it checks.
Flat. Brakes. Stabilizer.
All right, and then 2 and 3 together.
Stabilizer. Full lap. Flat. Brakes.
There you go. Gear horn off, cutoff horn is right there, just so you know. And then we talked about the radio here. See how it says ACARS? That's used for ACARS, but it's a fully functional radio, so you could actually click it up, the ACARS off, and use VHF number 3 on any of your control panels. And usually it'd be the FB would use his control panel, her control panel over here, and make the radio calls. So that's it. And then we check the aileron and rudder trim, 00, and we have a little indice on top of the yoke to check that as well. Okay, so before we would get going, we do the before starting engines checklist. We come together. So that would all be done alone. And FMS MCDU. We'll come down to the box, and the alternate is KGFK. And the flight, remember I said it was JBU. It's going to be JetBlue 1318 today. And cruising at flight level 210. If you wanted to do step climbs, you'd put in all the levels you had planned on your flight plan. You would look in here. You would come to your PDF. You scroll through, see all that, and then put in all the altitudes you saw. That could be 7 or 8 of them, right? Not that many, usually 3 or 4. Put them all in here. Temperature. We're going to 21. Good technique. Multiply 21 times 2. That's 42, now negative. So that's negative 42. Add 15, negative 27. But then you take your flight plan, and the temperature dev is plus 12, so it's minus 12 is the temperature. Double your temperature, make it a negative. Double your flight altitude, make it a temperature, make it a negative rather, and then add 15, and then use your temperature dev. Anyway, something like that. And then our winds today are plus 25, so it's a slash 25. If it was a tailwind, a headwind, you go minus 25. And your cost index is 169. All right, that's page 1 of 3. Next page. Taxi fuel is 2,000. I got that off the flight plan. You get the reserve plus alternate. Reserve is 5.8. Alternate is 14. While the alternates to come all the way back to Newark, so that's like 20,000 pounds. So I'm just going to put that in here. 20 on the route reserve. 20. Hold the block fuel there. I'll get the zero fuel weight off your flight plan, which is 356.9. 356.9. Then you load up the CGs. And page 3 is page 2 or 3 is if you want to communicate with the fuel panel, tell them what to put in there. The guys will know outside, or if you're going to dump, it's going to dump to 458 unless you put in something else. When you go to dump, it'll automatically dump to whatever's in there. So that's that. Let's go to flight plan, JFK, SID. We're going to use JFK 5 off 31 left. Usually you pick the runway first, don't you? 31 left, JFK 5, no transition right now. We're going to be given the Canarsie climb. See how it says CRI on this airplane? Like this is sort of like an FMC. I think like on the Airbuses, not on the Boeings. Boeing you would put in slashes here, I believe. This one I think it's 176 at 25 off Canarsie, because the clearance is to up. It's slash, so it's CRI slash 176 at 25, because our clearance is going to be the Canarsie climb, and the Canarsie climb is head over towards Canarsie, climb into 5,000 feet. It's a couple of at or aboves, turn inside the 039, at or above 2,500, but that's not an issue. And then out to 176, so I put out 25 miles, and that's what it looks like there. And then eventually radar vectors to intercept the Roebuck. Okay, that's that. And then lastly, we come in here, And off JFK, the arrival star is the Roebuck 3 ILS 22. I apologize, guys. This is a little darker than I wanted. And I think I've got these all up. Let me just do one thing here. Yeah, lights are all on. They're all good. All right. I know this is long, kids, but I'm kind of going to go through it. Okay, that's the box. And then, of course, what we do is we get together. We come in menu, FMC, check the database. We already did that. Check the init pages, all three of them. 1, 2, 3. And I just did notice that Captain Marvel put in the wrong cost index. And also, when you put in those step climbs, you'd also have to put a slash. Let's say you cross one point at 37, slash S 370. Okay, they did that wrong, but put that at every point that you wanted to climb. So you started off at 35, climbing at 37, 39. Put that on the flight plan on the vertical revision side at each point. So you've got to have it on the init, vertical revision. It'll do it. There's a pause at the top of descent function, which I didn't show you, which is really cool. Options. Pause at top of descent. Yes, you put that on if you're in that 4 times situation on your speed, or you just wanted to go to bed and come back and it's at the top of descent for your flight. I know that's real important to a lot of you guys. I tend to do things in real time. All right, and then you'd walk through the points, the route together, which you do on a flight plan, and you walk through the points together. And you've got yourself in check the prog for the total distance, 307, and this says 248, and that's because of the big turn to Canarsie back to JFK. That'll straighten out, but right now, and that's estimated fuel on board is correct. Remember, you got like a 20,000 on a reserve plus alternate. So that's that. And last thing we have to do is take off, go back to the EFB, go to perf, and there it is. We got 59, flaps 15, 36, 36, 57. So 59, hacks on, flaps 15, and 0 slope and 0 headwind. Right now it's at a European type climb here. I'm going to put in 15, 13. And outside air temperature is 22. You got to put a Celsius there. And there's your speed, 36, 36 to 57, which cross checks with the performance calculator. And you want to look up here, make sure they're in magenta, because let's talk about this. On the MD-11, you're going to be, if you take off, it's going to fly V2 up to whatever your Excel altitude is, V2. Then, if you have profile in, which we're going to take off in profile, it'll accelerate to your 250, allowing you to clean up. So it's going to go V2 to whatever's in the box. That's why it's so critical to have this in here. And then you can, if you have it in profile, it'll accelerate, clean up the flaps and slats as you go. We'll take off with 250 in the window, not V2, like you would on the Boeing. Not sure about the Airbuses. So the box is set. This guy is in flight plan. This guy is in takeoff. And you have just got yourself a full briefing on the MD-11 pre-flight. Let's go through here, make sure you got everything. FMS MCDUs initialized and checked. IRS is knifed in line. Hydraulic panels checked. Fuel panels set. Pounds checked. Emergency lights armed. No smoking lights on. Fire warnings. Let's go to the overhead, because we're within 5 minutes. We'll turn on the seatbelt sign. Okay, back to the checklist. No smoking, fire warnings are tested, evac switch is armed, AFS control panel is set, cabin pressure control panel is set, and auto wind stand, FID defog normal and on. You do this together, challenge and response. Closure control panel set and checked. We've talked about this ad nauseum. System display control panel, we talked about that, checked it. ES and bugs set, altimeter set, mins, everything is set. Standby flight instruments checked, it's caged and adjusted. Gate handle is down to 4 green. Auto brake selector is TO. Brakes and pressures parked to normal. Slats and flaps up retracted. Breakout bar, which is the overboost breakout bar, is reset. Throttles are closed. Reverse levers down. Takeoff warning is checked. Fuel switches are off. VHF radios are set. Transponders set. TARA 5 minutes prior seatbelt sign. And last thing you do, the status page. And then we're going to get started with this FSIPanel profile. And I hope you enjoyed that. That's we are an hour into the video. How far are we into the video? Let's see here. 55 minutes. Hello. 55 minutes. And we just finished pre-flight because we had so much to talk about. You go to status page here, guys. And it says engine ignition not armed. We know that. I'm going to normally leave it on air. I'm going to put on engine. I'm going to put it on air to show you a few of the cool start features available with the TFDi MD-11, how accurate they've made it, how proud I am of these guys. But right now, we got to get this FSI panel started. This starts basically our comm panel. No. Okay, let's do this. Let me work on that. Right back. All right, here we go. Yeah, for some reason I deleted it, but if you've been with me long enough, you know I do that stuff. Here's FSI panel, TFDi MD-11 airline flights, and we've already updated JetBlue 1318. Start training, and it's going to download the scenario pack. Now this airplane MD-11, they have it in a beta version that it will do a lot of things for you. So we've got the co-pilot set up to change frequencies, do after all the flows. See if I can remember to do that. And there's ATIS, so when we acknowledge this, we should get
Airport information Charlie.
ATIS.
Wind 200, 18 knots, visibility 10, cloud view 3,500 feet, temperature 25 . This is Kennedy Airport information Charlie. Wind 200, 18 knots, visibility 10, cloud view 3,500 feet, temperature 25°.22, altimeter 3027, departing runway 31 left, landing runway 22 left, advise on initial contact. You have information Charlie.
Let's come down to the radios here.
This is Kennedy Airport information Charlie. Wind 20.
Information Charlie. Little bothered the weather when you go to these things. It's supposed to be coming up with JetBlue 1318, and instead it's kind of got a real-time thing going on there. And instead we're supposed to have JetBlue 1318 set for the weather, not the live weather. And the time is supposed to be at around 10. So that's probably because I messed up on the panel there. All right, we'll say the altimeter's set there, guys. Let's start it. And we get ready for clearance. We'll go over to VHF 1 right here. Kennedy clearance, JetBlue 1318, gate D25, information Charlie, request clearance to Boston.
JetBlue 1318, good morning. Cleared Boston's filed, 31 left, Kennedy 5 departure, Canarsie, climb and maintain 5,000 feet, expect flight level 210, 10 minutes after departure, squawk 2256.
All right, good morning, JetBlue 1318, cleared to Boston is filed, runway 31 left, Kennedy 5 departure, Canarsie climb, maintain 5,000, expect 210, 10 minutes after departure, squawk 2256.
JetBlue 1318, readback is correct. When ready for pushback, contact ground 1219er.
Okay, 219 ready for push for JetBlue 1318. All right, so 219. Move that over, and I think what we'll do is put in 19.1 on the other side. 19.1. All right, so we get ground there and that. So Let's do the checklist for 5 minutes prior. We did that, so we'll call. Kennedy ground, JetBlue 1318, Delta 25, information Charlie to pushback, start engines.
JetBlue 1318, ground, good morning. Push and start approved, facing east, report ready for taxi.
Push and start approved, facing east, ready for taxi, JetBlue 1318. All right, so guys, we do have this program, so that's before start checklist. It does a lot of things for you. You can click that. And then also, we're clear to push and start, so I'm going to go to the overhead, and I'm going to go beacon is on. That's on, which they did for me. Ignition they turned on for me, and they turned on the aux hydraulic pump. That was before start, so they did all that for me with the flow. And we do our checklist. Clear to start, engine, ignition, hydraulic pump. Okay, looks good. Let's go back in here.
This parking is too small for your aircraft.
Continue to push back. And they said facing east, so that's nose to the left. Nose left.
Release parking brakes.
What side? Take a look.
Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at will.
Alright, clear to start. Alright, so I wanted to show you something here on the air page. See how it says 34? You need 25 minimum to start with the start valve open. So I'm going to start number 3 first. We're going to start 312. Open the start valve. And look at that. They modeled it that the pressure goes down. So it's above 25. I think that's just cool. They've gone through great lengths to do a bunch of things. Number 2, you need oil pressure before you bring the start valve, the fuel lever up above 15. There it is. You have 25 seconds to get ignition. And at 45%, the start valve closes. How do you know the start valve closes? That light will go out. So, starting. There's 45, and the start valve closed. Pretty cool, huh? Now, you're looking for 2, 4, 6, 8 the oil. Another thing they've taken the time to model that most developers don't. Oil quantity was 22. It's down to 15. That's called the oil gulp. You get over 5 quarts drop after engine start. So you look for that. 2, 4, 6, and 8 the oil, and 12. So there's 24, 2, 4, around 6, 8 the oil, and around 1,200 on the fuel flow at sea level. Pretty cool. They modeled it all. Start number 1. Start valves open. Once again, if you look at the air, need 25 for start. It dropped down from 33 down to 30, so we got a good start. At above 15, you need an oil pressure rise before you bring the fuel back up, and there's the oil pressure rise. We're above 15. Fuel levers up.
Parking brakes. Waiting your confirmation for a good engine start.
All right, there we go. That means ignition right there, that blue light. So used to doing these for the CE1000 side of things. We're all trying to standardize using our checklists and procedures. That way when we write things up, we're all talking from the same procedures. 45%, start valves closed. And once again, we look for 2, 4, 6, 8 the oil, and 12. Okay, there it is, around 20, around 40, 400, around 6, 8 the oil. See that drop? Pretty cool. And around 12, 2, 4, 6, 8, 12. Yeah, these guys are dying to get out of there. Sometimes some guys like to
Cockpit to
wait
ground.
till all 3
We
engines
have a good
start.
engine start. You can disconnect.
And go to air. Open the start valve for number 2. I had a ground evacuation when we started number 2 at Kennedy. See how the pressure's above 25? That's good. And I want to make sure I have oil pressure. We had an engine fire from a, I guess it's pretty common, end up ground evacuating, 1995. Oil pressure is good. We're above 15. Fuel levers up.
Unlocking gear.
There it is, 25 seconds to get ignition. Watching the max EGT. That blue light is ignition. Start valve will close and that ignition will go off. This time we'll watch the start valve and the ignition light.
Tow truck disconnected. Bypass pin removed.
All right, there's 45. Ignition lights out. Start
Left
valves
is
out.
clear. Right is clear.
And we got 3 normal starts. Go to the config page. Flaps 15, please. First one is slat. Second click is to whatever you have in dial flap. There we go. 2, 4, 6, and 8 the oil, and we're at 1200 normal starts. Wait for them to go. Captain checks the rudders. Full right, holding on to the nose with steering. Kind of stream of consciousness here, guys, but that's kind of how I roll. Elevators and ailerons. And there you go. Let's go here. There she is. They are, whatever they want to be called. There we go, there we go. Start valve, lights on. The flash the taxi lights. Yeah, there we go, my friend. You good? Get out of here, you nut. There you go. Never change. Love you. Missed you already. So, a few things we'll do before we taxi. Trim's 4.4. While I'm on this page, before I turn it off, I set the trim. We would check weights, winds, and temperatures after close out. Update the zero fuel weight. Make sure we have headwind and the temperatures. Weights, winds, and temperatures check. There we go. And with that, we usually go on to engine page. All right, let's do checklist. After starting procedures, there you go. It's on the checklist. Engine ice, 10 degrees Celsius, 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Nope, we're up in the 70s. APU's off, flaps, slats, config page, stab trim, flight controls. So let's go to the overhead. APU is off. See, because we started from the APU panel, it shut it off automatically after start. Pretty cool. I'm going to turn on the nose light, and we're going to come in here, clear left, clear right. We'll tell them I have a salute, and think about our taxi instructions, just so you know where we're going. We're way over here. We're going to go out to Delta Alpha on Bravo, hold short of Juliet. Wonder why. I'm not getting the prompt for the airplane. There it is. So we're going to go out Delta Alpha, right on Bravo, short of Juliet. Eventually, I think they put us up on Yankee. Let me show you something real quick while we're here, because I'm not going to have time when we get going. So they're going to take us off on Yankee. They said they did yesterday. Right now we have 14,000 feet. Yankee's around 15,000 up the runways, but you could put in here, geez, you could go all the way down to 12,000 really, and calculate and get new numbers from that intersection, and there they are, which are the same. So when they give us Yankee, which they did yesterday with the PMDG airplane, that's how we did it. All right, guys, here we go. We're on ground. Kennedy ground, JetBlue 1318 off Delta 25, taxi with Charlie.
JetBlue 1318, taxi Delta Alpha, Bravo, hold short of Juliet.
Delta Alpha Bravo, short of Juliet for JetBlue 1318. All right, so turn on the taxi light, which is one click down there, and we clear left and right. Not particularly happy with this little setup here. Let me just adjust my seat a little bit here, guys. See the speed tape? That's where your nose is. So if you go outside, I'll prove it to you. Shows we're on the line. I know. And speed tape is on the line. I just want to do this a lot of one. Okay, here we go. Parking brakes off. And it says spoilers. We don't have a green box yet. On the spoilers, we have a green box which means our flaps, slats, spoilers, and trim are all aligned. All those things are on takeoff warning. 40% breakoff thrust, otherwise you're going to get permission from ground behind you. Delta Alpha is here. Bravo's second right all the way around to Juliet. Well, I hope you're enjoying this. You know, it's kind of we're doing it after doing it all the time privately, doing it for a big group. Yeah. Taxi's nice, guys. I think you'll like it. The power back. It's very forgiving if you're down around 10 knots. If you get up around 20 knots, it skids a lot. You'll need a lot of brakes, and it will heat the brakes up on you. This is Alpha here. We're going out to Bravo. This should say Bravo there. Doesn't. It says Alpha. Should be on the other side. That's a Microsoft Flight Simulator issue. I don't have the INI builds in here anymore. I used to have the INI builds for JFK. Actually, I think I do have it with everything turned off. That's why it's a little stuttery here. There's Bravo. Little stuttery. I do have the INI builds on here, but I turned off terminals and all the magic. The reason I did that is otherwise I couldn't use those gates with Asobo. All right, we're going to go that the flight FSIPanel mentioned. All right, so if you want to do the checklist here, move it over here and do it. For takeoff, glacial control panel checked. We have, as we mentioned, 250 set, 5,000, and runway heading will be using nav on departure. Anti-ice is off, not required. Staff trim is set off the takeoff page. Spoilers and brakes, they're armed in TO. Flaps and slats, TPS calls are 15, handles 15, set for takeoff. Zero fuel weight is updated. EAD is checked with no messages down here. Yeah. Key and chime, no later than 2 minutes prior to flight attendants prepare takeoff. We got a ways. Lights, line up and wait. You put on some of the turn off lights and things like that. We'll do that. And so that, yeah, for takeoff checklist is complete. All right, all the way out to Juliet. How's that? Juliet's here, we'll hold short. Now I've got this program, and the MD-11 is now part of it. One of the wonderful things about having it programmed is you can use the multiple approach and landing and malfunctions procedures that are on FSIPanel. Otherwise, you just use the COM. You can't use things like the frequency changes and the automatic flows and things like that. Let's try that flows now that I'm thinking about it. Click here. Trying to get the flow to work here. Taxi procedures. I'll run that.
JetBlue 1318, hold short of Juliet, contact tower 123.9, safe flight.
Hold short of Juliet, 23.9. See ya. JetBlue 1318. I apologize for the lighting, guys. Not positive what's going on there. This is Juliet up here. Tower JetBlue 1318 is holding short of Juliet on Bravo.
JetBlue 1318, cross 22 right via Juliet, hold short 31 left, intersection Yankee.
Okay, cross 22 right Juliet, hold short 31 left at Yankee, JetBlue 1318. All right, so that's an intersection takeoff. We talked about that, and we took 2,000 feet off for the takeoff data. That would have been on the GPS. Flight attendants prepare for takeoff the 2 minutes prior, and then we do the chime when takeoff is imminent. We clear left and right. Right now we can clear final for 2-2. And Yankees the first right after the runway. See, this taxi's nice. PMDG taxi nice. I'm telling you guys, very, very similar products. We'll see. This one does really well on vertical nav and the profile. We'll get all that set up here in just a moment. I do not arm the auto flight, which is essentially getting ready to arm the toga for 70%. We should have checked the runway final clear here before we rolled on out, right? That's not good. Yeah, sorry, I hit the brakes a little hard there.
JetBlue 1318, runway 31 left, line up and wait.
Line up and wait, 31 left, JetBlue 1318. All right, line up and wait. We have a checklist for that. Line up flow, landing lights on, packs on. That's what it's doing for me. And the only thing we have to do is I'm going to do the chime. Let them know we're rolling. Pretty cool with that lineup stuff. That's with the FSIPanel. Here we go, line up and wait.
JetBlue 1318, winds 200 at 15, runway 31 left, cleared for takeoff.
Let's take off 31 left, JetBlue 1318. All right, clear for takeoff. So we have nav arm. I'm going to arm the profile. There it is, profile's arm. I'm going to arm the auto flight. Watch that box there. Okay, now when we go above 70, reason I don't do it, and American Airlines we never did it, is if you ever went on 70 trying to make a turn, you get a little jam, it hit toga on you, and then it's a wild stallion. We had an Airbus A300 go off the runway in St. Thomas for that reason. All right, how are the lights doing? High intensity's on, all the lights are on. Clear for takeoff. We are good. So if you watch my PMDG 777 yesterday, I said 2 to 3 degrees a second and get up around 15 to 20 degrees. We're lightweight, probably close to 20. Same thing here. And runway heading checks. Remember, you know our nose is on the runway when this vertical speed tape is on the runway. And here we go. When I get up above 70, which is my throttles at home, straight up and down. There's 70, it takes over. I'm not touching them. Should go up to 100%, 100.6. And we say thrust set. And then 80 knots down here. We'll get takeoff clamp. There's 80 knots takeoff clamp. V1 and rotate 2 to 3 degrees per second. V1 and rotate. Nice smooth rotation up to 2 to 3 degrees per second, right up near 15 to 20 degrees of pitch. If you're really heavyweight, let's say an 11-hour flight, you get about 10 degrees, but on these lightweights, 15 to 20. Now yesterday I turned on the autopilot, right about here, positive brake gear up.
Stabilizer.
I'll do the same thing for this one. And there you go. And it should do V2 until whatever we have set, which was 1500, then it will push off, push over. There's V2, it's pushing over. Flying power is coming in. Remember, we got 250 that was set in the window. It's flying profile, flaps up, we're above flap retract speed.
1318, contact departure.
Slats retract, we're above slats
135.9.
retract.
Good day.
35.9 for JetBlue 1380. See ya. We come down here. I think they auto-tuned that frequency for me. There it is, 35.9. They did it. Thank you. Departure, JetBlue 1318 is out of 3,000 for 5,000.
JetBlue 1318 identified.
Brakes off.
Maintains 5,000 feet. Continue radio 176. Charlie Romeo India.
Okay, maintain 5,000. Now continue the Charlie Romeo India 176 for JetBlue 1318. All right, spoilers disarm. Flaps and slats are up. Auto brakes are off. And there we go. And it's maintaining the 176 outbound in nav, in profile, leveling at 5 at 250. It's the real deal, guys. I'm going to get my heading selector kind of all the way over.
Altitude.
I'm going to get it over.
Altitude.
It's telling me I'm leveling off. And the reason I'm going to do that is they typically, at Kennedy, give you a big heading out to the east. So I'm just going to get that over around a 080 or something. They usually give you a 090. So we're flying the 176 outbound. The truth is we're not cleared anywhere after this, just this 176 outbound. And we'll run the checklist. Have takeoff spoilers, gear, flaps, auto brake selector, flaps out to EAD, no alerts. And then we got 10,000 feet chime and landing lights and dial flap to 15. That's it. 18,000 transition. Yeah, I don't know if it's my sim lighting or what, but I feel like the brightness in here is a little bit darker than it was yesterday, the last couple of times. Probably need to turn up some other function, I'm sure. All right, that's great. It's going to be about a 2-hour video, just like yesterday. We'll go park at gate C26 in Boston. We're going to brief the arrival, the approach, and the taxi in, as well as the misapproach, once we get turning on the departure. Right now we're in sterile cockpit, so only essential communications below 10,000 feet above the ground. So if you took off at an 8,000 foot altitude like Bogota, you're really sterile until 18,000 feet, 10,000 feet above the ground with the flight attendants. So it's not really your altitude, it's your altimeter, it's your altitude above the ground that you're sterile. Pitch and powers for the GFCF 60s, that's about right. You can see that we're around 2.5, 3 degrees nose high at 250 with around 60-something% lightweight. That's about right. So they've gone through great. I've watched them go through so much to get this right. I mean, they could have rolled this thing out a long time ago.
JetBlue 1318, climb 11,000 feet. Expect left turn shortly.
Climb to 1,000 feet. We'll expect a left turn. JetBlue 1318. All right, so we go.
Altitude.
1,000. We're in profile, so it's climbing. Yeah, I've got FS Realistic on, so you see it bouncing around a little bit more. We're very lightweight, so it's climbing like crazy here. We're also at the climb limit, but not at climb 1 or climb 2. This airplane doesn't have climb 1 or climb 2, so it's going right to the thrust climb limit, so you tend to get a pretty high rate of climb when you're lightweight. This is that
JetBlue 1318, turn left 020, climb 15,000 feet.
left 020, climb to 15,000 feet, JetBlue 1318. One 5,000 feet, and remember over here, pull, goes to heading select. If you want to know what the clearance was, you can hit this little code here again.
JetBlue 1318, turn left 020, climb 15,000 feet.
Pretty cool, huh? I don't have to repeat that because I already did it. Showing you some of the FSIPanel. So 15020 on the heading. We can get this set up here. Let's go to the box. And I would set it up probably newest. Get ready for that. We'll redo it when we go. Something funny about the MD-11, it calculates your return radius. Oh, by the way, we're out of 10. I should have desterilized them. Turned off the lights. There we go.
JetBlue 1318, contact New York Center 125.325.
125.325, JetBlue 1318. So if you look down here, it should change 3, 2, 1. There it is. Because I have those auto freaks set up. 125.325. I love it. And New York JetBlue 1318's out of 14 for 15,000.
And JetBlue 1318 radar contact, continue on heading, climb flight level 190.
Continue heading 020, climb to flight level 190 for JetBlue 1318. So 190020 set. We're no longer in profile. I could go to profile. There we go. Fly the profile speed that way. All right, 020190. If you want to get the Boston weather, go like this.
Initial contact, you have information Delta.
Delta.
This is Boston Airport information Delta. Wind 270, 8 knots. Visibility 10. Cloud view 5,000 feet. Temperature 24 dew point 18. Altimeter 3026. Departing runway 22 right. Landing runway 22 left ILS approach. Advise on initial contact, you have information Delta.
Information Delta 3026. A little bit of confusion here. Normally when you put in the FSIPanel weather, the altimeters follow
JetBlue
that.
1318, proceed direct Newark. Climb and maintain flight level 210.
Direct Newark, flight level 210 for JetBlue 1318. Let's put in 210. 210. Direct Newark. Execute. How does that look? Increase the range. Newark. Looks good. Hit nav. And off you go. Yeah, it does the turn point. When you go direct, it creates a turn point at that point where the Boeing will give you that nice, or the modern day Airbuses, nice turn and go direct to Newark. These MD-11 tries to correct back to the initial turn point course in. So sometimes they'll say, hey, where are you going, American? Or in this case, JetBlue. And you say, oh yeah, it's MD-11ism. So you want to redo it as you get closer. You'll redo direct to Newark, so that it doesn't try to correct back to that original course. That's actually how the MD-11 works on those big turns. So if you have a large delta from your heading to your assigned heading or direct, it's going to try to go back to that original course. Remember, this airplane was rolled out in 1986. All right, there's flight level 210. That is our final cruising altitude today. We did the lights. We did the altimeters. No, we didn't, did we? And standard. All the yapping. If we want to turn on the radar, we can.
Altitude.
The radar is on, which is not installed right now. And there we go. We're level. We're in all pink. Magenta means it's being controlled by the box. White means it's being controlled by the flight control panel on the GCP. Flight control panel, GCP, EIS. If it's in blue, that's autopilot. And if it's in green, you'll get that localizer, glide slope capture, and dual land. That's the only time we see it. So magenta is the FMC controlling it. White is whatever dialed in here is being controlled, like level change or heading select. And if you see green, that's for localizer capture, glide slope capture, and that's it. All right. So we're done. Let's take a look at the arrival. See the top of descent isn't that far off. I'm going to put in Phoenix. It says 230. I'm going to put in Phoenix at 210. That is our final. Put it on the vertical side. And there it is. All right, we'll get this set up. We'll come in here. Star Boston. Roebuck. I'll move it over here where we can all enjoy it. All right, so there it is. You guys see this? Ruiz above 21 right here. Ruiz above 21. All in, above 17. Banky, above 16. Roebuck, above 12 and at 260. So it has 12 in there, doesn't have the 260. So you do a vertical revision, put in 260. There you go. Roebuck is 12 and 260. Providence 250 and 11. Providence 250 and 11. Jody, you got Cran at 220 and 11. Jody, Cran, Cradle. So I have the right one here. Cran, Cradle. I'm just checking these out, guys. Hang on. Pleb, Ethan. Oh, you know what I did? I put in the wrong star. I didn't put it in. I have it on the, I selected the wrong one. There's one for the westbound. Sorry about that, guys. That's why you check these things, right? And there's Cran at 250 and 11 to 12. So we can go to 250 because Cradle going the other way. So Cran 250 instead of 220. $250. Okay, and then it's Roebuck 260, Providence 250, Cran 250, Cradle 210 and 8. Cradle 210 and 8. Really, you don't need 210 going this way. Cradle Ethan's at 250. So this week we can eliminate. I've got to be honest with you guys, I'm not sure why some of these speeds are in there. Maybe because I misloaded it or something. 260, you don't even need Providence at 250, really. Your first 250 is at Cradle. Cran, rather. Then Pleb at 250, Ethan at 250. Petrick 220. That's why I check this stuff. Not really sure. I've never had a problem with this thing loading in properly. Petrick 220, Tally at 210. Tally at 210.
JetBlue 1318,
right.
Contact Boston approach 120.6.
20.6 for JetBlue 1318. 1, 2, 3, 4. There it is. 20.6. Love it. JetBlue 1318, Boston. We're at flight level 210.
JetBlue 1318, Boston approach. Good morning. Continue Roebuck 3 arrival. Expect ILS 22 left.
It could be the Roebuck 3. Expect 22 left ILS. JetBlue 1318. Good morning. All right. So that's the painful resolution of the star approaches. ILS 22 left. Move that over. Go to the box. So after Tally, it's radar vectors. Wayne Vocus. Wayne Vocus. Noli's only 12 miles. I'm going to put Noli in there. It'd help if I spelled it right. And that's at 4,000. Just in case they bring us out a little further. Noli at 4, Wayne at 3, Vocus at 1,700. Runway 22 left. Going down to a DH of 216. 216. Run radio altimeter of 200, that's fine. If we went over to Barrow, you'd have to put in 216. I'll do that for you, just to show you. 216. Here's your top of descent. It's 50 miles away, so we're doing 8 miles, doing about 7 miles a minute. Right there, 0.68, about 7 miles a minute. So 42, about 6 minutes to top of descent. Definitely should have let the people up to go make a PA, cruise check. Dial of flap is set, by the way, we're standard. We talked about the pings, controlling greens, previous star approach taxi, we'll do that. Check into FMS, check FMS profile speeds for cruise and descent, we did that. And then when we go to descent, landing data, all that stuff, we can do that now. Let's do some landing data, hey, before we go much further. Now yesterday, if you remember, I know it's cheating. They had a sidestep to 22 right. This looks like a giant 10,000 foot runway on 22 left. But if you go to 10-9, 22 left, on glide slope it's 7,700 feet. Look at 22 right, on glide slope 7,000. So let's go here. We're going to come in. We're going to put in Boston. And 22 left. Two left, runway length, I don't think so. Get weather information. Landing weight, let's see what we're going to be. 385, 390. 390. Put 6 of them in there. Oh, we got to do... there we go. That's better, right, guys? 22 left, dry. Weather, even though, you know, where altimeter is a little bit different. It's 3026. That's what evidently they're using. Landing weight, 385, 390. 6 figures. Takeoff rates low. Flaps, let's go flaps 50. Calculate 4,400 feet. Yeah, we'll use flaps 50 in medium brakes just because it's kind of a short runway and they sidestep us to the right. Takeoff approach, select flaps 50, just for the heck of it. How's that? 145 is our final. Alright, so back to the approach. After landing, we'll check it out. Probably right on Charlie 26 is way in here. Can I get that to right? Yeah, right in here. We're going to land, we land 22 right, we'll be way down here. Echo, Alpha, all the way down past Foxtrot and find our gate in there. We land 22 left. The real tricky part, see the displaced threshold? Yesterday in the PMDG airplane, they switched runways, and it was saying that we're below glide slope. And the reason we're below glide slope is naturally, if I had an FO, they would tune to right for me, but they didn't. And so I was all alone, so it was saying you're below glide path. Even though I had the flight director off, I would have had to come out of localized remote, and we just landed. Nice job, but we still needed a lot of runway. This one starts a little better. PMDG, I think, extremely realistic braking action. Not that this one isn't. It's got pretty good brake. And you know, I'm having trouble with the difference in the airplanes. They're pretty darn similar. I don't know what happened on the speeds not rolling in. I tend to think maybe there was something I did in the transition.
Sent to 12,000 feet when ready. Altimeter is 30.27. Comply with altitude and speed restrictions.
JetBlue 1318, descend to 2,000 feet when ready. 3027. Will comply with altitude and speed restrictions. All right, so 2000 is set in the window, and what it will do is when it hits the top of descent, you don't have to do anything. It's going to start down. Won't give you much warning. Real airplane, it kind of flashes. It'll just you'll think, oh, it's not going to do it. Don't panic, it'll do it. As long as you go pink here and an altitude dialed in, it's going to do it. And it's going to apply with all the speed restrictions as well. All right, in the approach, we talked about the decision. The only thing we didn't talk about was the missed approach on 22 left. And it's in the box 3000, basically straight ahead. We'll go LNAV at 400 feet. So it'll be going around flaps 20, flaps 15 rather. Going around flaps 15, positive rate gear upset, missed approach altitude, which will be 3,000 feet. Above 400 feet, we'll go nav, and above 1,000, we'll go level change and 220 or so on the speed. Start down. Let's take a look here. We'll watch it start down. So we've got, it's armed at 12. Everything's in pink, so it knows where it is. That little white dot gets there. You're thinking, oh no, it's not going to do it, because you got the glide slope on the modern day aircraft, right? But this one, here it goes. Only other thing I will say to you guys is that a lot of times it wants drag because it's going to be a 260 at Roebuck, so I'm going to bring some speed brakes out. At-home throttles, sometimes on these flight sim aircraft, you've got to bring your at-home throttles back or as well to start it off. Then it's fine. Didn't have to do it that time, but sometimes you do. It's going to 260 at Roebuck. Looks like you don't need to drag anymore. Speed brakes are up. So 260 and 12 at Roebuck. It's a long drug-in approach to Boston. You can see that the vertical deviation indicator is right on. See that there's no indication above or below like you have on other aircraft. It's telling us we're going to land here, and this is very accurate at the moment. Good. Only thing that bothers me, they gave us the altimeter guides, but we're going to use whatever we get when we press B, because I think this, even though I've selected the weather, which normally it all works, but I've selected the weather as FSI 12, I think we're getting live weather. So that's just a simism. So even though it's this 3026, the Boston altimeter is actually $2989. And they are landing on the correct runway. I don't have any traffic on anyway. All right, here we come out of 18. I'm just going to hit the V letter. There we go on my keyboard. 2989 it should be. Maybe that's the Providence up there. 2994, 2994, 294. And I'm going to go ahead and get the lights on. And I'll get the seatbelt sign on. I'll give them a little PA. Tell them how much I love them. Very much. Go my descent check. Descent, FMS MCDU landing data set. System display control panel check status page. Altimeters, landing lights, sterile cockpit above 10,000. So status page is here. See, we have no items. You're going to get the green box when your flaps and slats are all set. Brakes. Needs a little drag to get down to maintain 260. So I'm going to monitor the speed brakes. I'm supposed to maintain at 260 and then 250 at cran, as you can see. It's working it. Now we have a really high slat speed on this airplane. It's on the checklist, the normal checklist, if you want to find it ever, down here for the airplane. But you can bring the slats out to get a little drag. So I'm going to put a slats extend. There's your slats coming out in one click.
JetBlue 1318, descend 11,000 feet, decrease speed 250 knots.
Descend to 1,000 feet, slow to 250, JetBlue 1318. All right, speed brakes coming up. We got 1,000 set, almost. 1,000 set, 250 knots. It's set. It's not wanting to do it, is it, guys? Might have to help it a little even with the slats. Cycling the speed brake just a tiny bit. There we go. Seems to have figured it out now. Yeah, so I'll leave the link to the PMDG 777 and this one. It's fun to compare them. About the same price. Both great developers, highly communicate. The TFDi website, Discord, tremendous communication. PFDi uses the blog, PMDG. TFDi uses their Discord channel. Unprecedented level of transparency during the process because of the CE 1000 people that were brought on board who contributed greatly to everything. But the guys are very responsive. That's not to say once in a while they won't say, okay guys, give it a rest. They will, but generally they're very open to communication, questions. They don't have the answer, they usually get it to you. They might ask you to refer back in the Discord because the question's been asked before. They have other jobs, so they're out there working a lot. So they appreciate if you checked it. If you're gonna write something up on their GitHub, make sure it's not on there first, do a search. That goes for anybody using GitHub, any corporation. My guys who watch me a lot call it stream of consciousness, right? They say, now this thing, it says profile to 8, that's our next restriction, but it's not going to go past 1.1 because that's what's in the flight control panel. Again, if you ever want to know what they said, you can press your F, whatever key you assign.
JetBlue 1318, descend 11,000 feet, decrease speed 250 knots.
And they tell you what happened. So what do we got? We got frequency changes programmed on FSIPanel. We got flows, like right here, our next flow.
JetBlue 1318, descend to 8,000.
After landing. 8,000, JetBlue 1318.
Altitude.
Just does that as it levels. I know that's obnoxious. And there it is. 8,000 set in the window. I have a Logitech panels. So our next one is line of flow. We did that. After takeoff flow, we did that. It's after landing flow. And then shutdown. We'll try those out. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. What's our next speed restriction? He's given us 250. He didn't. Did he take off these speed restrictions? I'm going to assume he didn't, just for planning purposes. Let's go outside, take a look. We haven't done that in a while. Look at that big, beautiful bird. The slats extended. Lights on. Got a little thermal action going on there. Definitely not a safe place to be looking, is it? Great product. Really great product. It's going to be released here very shortly. I obviously have interest, not financial in it, but emotionally, a lot of time invested with these guys. They make it clear, though, guys, that they are not in competition with anyone. That they have highest respect for all their competitors, the people. Competitors just said no competition. The other companies. They also do not want. There's 10,000. Chime. Flight attendants prepared for landing. Descent checks complete. Altimeter set. They're not in competition with them. They're just making the best product they can possibly make. Let's set tune on 89 here. Also, these aircraft, they don't like to be called study level aircraft. They like to be called high fidelity. Study level implies that everything there is exactly like the airplane.
JetBlue 1318, proceed direct P-trick.
Direct P-trick, JetBlue 1318. All right, direct P-trick, we'd ask the other guy how that looks. And we go, here we go. No beam points. Just go. You see there's a turn point it created, so it's going to overshoot and correct a little bit. I'll show you that. That's how the MD-11 operates. Remember, 1986 development. So somewhere as you roll out, you just go redirect. And I just cut off quite a bit of time there. Good corner. So I would go direct again, right about in here, and the turn radius will show it. And there it goes. You won't get the classic. Hey, where are you going?
Altitude.
Here's 8,000.
Altitude.
Petrick, they wanted us there at 220. See how it's doing the turn point? What if you go direct? You get rid of that. Because they do sometimes will say where you're going. Even on the Boeings, the big Boeings, the triples, 787s, you sometimes got to clean it up after the turn to get yourself going straight, so that ATC expects you on that turn to roll out heading directly, not correct back to your course where they cleared you, because it could have taken you a while to do it. They expect you to go direct to that point. So sometimes you got to clean it up after landing. And I see this little crab in here. We got 33 knots of left cross, 1 knot of headwind. There we go. What are the winds down there? 270, so there's about 270 at 8, about a 5 or 6 knot right cross. Not a lot of excuses there. Increase it a little bit. They could cut it short, so we might be hustling to get down. Now our next flap, slats extend was 280. Now we're above our flap speed. We could have kept it clean, but some of those altitude descents we're having to put a lot of drag out. 255 would be our flaps 15. Flaps 15 being whatever's in the dial flap, which we have 15 set, which you would set 15 after takeoff. Yeah, I have my Logitech panel set up here, guys. Otherwise, remember, up is push, down is pull, push, pull.
JetBlue 1318, descend 5,000, speed 220 knots, final turn in 15 miles.
Slow to 220, down to 5,000, JetBlue 1318. All right, 5,000. I'm going to show you a level change here. That's where I'm just going to do it just for fun here, okay? 5,000, there it is. That's a pull. Here, pull, and 220 knots. I want to do a couple of manual things here. Let's see how it's not illuminated. It's not you corrected, so what you want to do is pull again. And there it is. Now we're down below 255. I'm going to go flaps 15 to help it out. Burn a little extra gas. So we got 5,000 feet and 220, and we're expecting a turn here. And we're should be going direct to Petrick, right? actually don't know. Sometimes when you get playing around here, you mess up the headings. Because they didn't give us a heading there.
JetBlue 1318, descend
There it is.
5,000, speed 220 knots, final turn in 15 miles.
I already answered that. So 6 for 5. Yeah, somewhere in here when I did that, guys, I accidentally put us into heading select. Or I never went to them. It's another father time adventure. Hopefully I can show you a real nice landing. This FSIPanel has landing grades they give you. Now I have this, I'm not going to make excuses, but I'm going to make excuses. FS Realistic, man, is it
Altitude.
FS Realistic.
Altitude.
it gives you some interesting landings. Where the FSIPanel may say that was a nice landing, FS Realistic would tell you how much it hurt them. It's humbling. All right, we're in pink on nav, that tells us we're in nav. We are not in pink up here, it tells us the FMS is not going, so right now we're not in profile. And we're supposed to be Petrick at 220. Now that he's given us speeds, if they ever, I wouldn't slow to 210 automatically. I call him because he appears to be controlling our speed.
JetBlue 1318, maintain present heading, descend 3,000 feet, speed 200 knots or less.
3,000 feet, present heading, 200 less, JetBlue 1318. All right, present heading, so heading select, heading hold, up here, right? There it is, heading hold, 3,000. And we can level change it.
Altitude.
And then 200 knots on the speed. There you go. 200. Sending to 3. Present heading. Heading hold. Idle clamp. Decrease it. So I'm gonna. I can set up off Wayne here. Looks like we're gonna do it. Let's go to the box. Yeah, I'll just do it. I'll do it when we turn, guys. You want to make sure that your point on the MD-11 is in front of you. There's no way to extend this line like you would normally. You just got to make sure it's in front. So as he turns us, I'll do, even though we'll be on a heading, 200 knots, it does not want to slow down, does it? Yeah, there's a case where I had to bring my home throttles back, guys, as happens in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Spoilers are armed. 4 for 3. Yeah,
JetBlue 1318, turn left heading 240, clear ILS 22 left, speed 180 knots or less.
Slow to 180 or less with JetBlue 1318 left to 240, clear the ILS 22 left.
JetBlue 1318, turn left heading 240, clear ILS 22 left, speed 180 knots or less.
Alright guys, I did it. So 240, 180 or less.
And JetBlue 1318, contact tower 128.8, have a good day.
118, you too. JetBlue 1318. There's 3,000. So here's the case. You want to go direct Wayne, and that way, if you go missed approach, you'll have a correct point in front of you. Tower JetBlue 1318, intercepting 22 left.
JetBlue 1318.
Approach land is
minimum
armed.
approach speed, number 2 behind heavy 747.
Slow to minimum approach speed, JetBlue 1318. Alright, slow to minimum approach speed, so gear down. Oh, I just had a just the nick of time, right guys? Minimum approach speed. Flaps 28 is low capture. I'm going to go FMS speed. Flaps 35.
Stabilizer motion.
All right, flaps are 50. We got green box, spoilers are armed, auto brakes are medium, forward landing check was complete. The low capture, we get the missed approach set up. We got 3,000 set. We'll set up the final approach here, the heading rather, runway heading. Flaps 50. It says 145. We'll fly 150 here, guys. And we are low capture. Here comes the glide slope. Sorry about that spastic stuff there. Normally in the aircraft, what you could do is bring this up really slowly and set up a missed approach airspeed as well. But you go FMS speed like right now. There we go. And you could bring this preset speed up to missed approach. Doesn't work great in the sim, to be honest with you. But you'd have missed approach altitude, heading, and airspeed set for just in case. And once again, it'd be going around flaps 15, positive rate gear up, set missed approach altitude. That's it. After landing, we talked about it. Right-hand turn off, hold short. 9,000 feet of runway after the displaced threshold, and the inboard is shorter, much shorter.
Stabilizer motion.
Now, when you get down below 1,500 feet, it does a dual land check, and it'll give you dual land if it passes it at 1,500 above the ground, the radio altimeter. We'll watch that happen. It auto-tuned the ILS, by the way. Once you're within 25 miles, it auto-tunes the ILS. That's why I didn't check that. Probably should have.
JetBlue 1318, runway 22 left, blocked due to an emergency, re-cleared visual approach, runway 22 right, standby for landing clearance.
Okay, cleared the visual approach 22 right for JetBlue 1318. All right, so let's go ahead. If you remember, 22 right, we talked about it, displaced threshold. If we fly this glide slope down, we're going to be below glide slope, but we're not going to reprogram it. We'll just do this. I'm going to turn off the flight director, autopilot. I'm going to turn off the flight director, and I'm going to maneuver on over. I've got glide slope guidance over here, but right now we'll maintain a little high on the glide slope. We don't get the glide slope warning. But if we were to fly that glide slope, we'd end up really high. So we're going to end up with some glide slope warnings as we get in closer. What we do in the real airplane, of course, is the FO pilot monitoring would would tune the other ILS for us, get us some glide slope guidance. Let's turn it on around here. Clear to land. We got flaps 50, short runway. Probably get off closer to the end. We don't want to heat the brakes up. We'll pick up the VASI somewhere in here. I can start to see them. These big airplanes, it usually there's a 4-bar VASI. It's instead of having 2 and 2, 2 reds, 2
JetBlue
white.
1318, winds 270 at 8, runway 22 right, clear to land.
Clear to land, 22 right, JetBlue 1318. All right, clear to land, guys. Yeah, usually it's 1 red, 3 white for the big boys. And I can see run red, 2 white. 2.5 degrees with flaps 50 is a good glide slope path. So if we think we're a little high, we can put it down a little low. Try to get a nice landing here, guys. Not a lot of runway though, 7,000 foot of runway.
500.
So Stable target, sinking 9, a little bit of a high and seek, right?
400.
Kind of pull it up a little. Main points in the bottom of the windscreen, bottom quarter.
Glide slope.
Approaching minimum.
Don't worry about the glide slope, guys,
Glide
because
slope.
I'm using the VASIs.
Glide
200.
slope. Glide
Minimum.
slope. Glide slope. Glide slope.
100.
Glide slope. Glide slope.
50. 40.
Glide slope.
30.
Glide
20.
slope.
10.
Take that, you nasty old runway.
Better than that.
Oh, stop it. All right, reversing. All 3 unlock, 2 unlock. We're not getting a 3rd reverse. Standing ovation.
JetBlue 1318, vacate right, contact ground 121.9er. Thanks for the help.
Stabilizer.
Vacate right, ground 219, JetBlue 1318. Thanks a lot. All right, guys. Clear to vacate right. You don't do any checklists till you clear the runway. Clearing Charlie. Flaps up. Spoilers up. After landing check. Remember how to do that? After landing. How's that? Ground, JetBlue 1318's on Charlie for gate Charlie 26. Straight ahead, guys. And JetBlue 1318 pulling into Charlie
JetBlue
26.
1318, welcome to Boston. Taxi gate Charlie 26 via Alpha.
Alpha Charlie 26, JetBlue 1318. Guys, this is somebody's at Charlie 26. So what I'm going to do here, stop it for a second. And Charlie 26 via Alpha, JetBlue 1318. All right, guys, so I'm going to start the APU. It's available because he did it for me. I'm double checking what he did for me. Lights are off. Thank you very much. Charlie 26 is actually right over there. We got a DC-3 there. Charlie 26 in the alley. I'll just take one of these gates on the right if I don't get run over by a fire truck. Can I go in here? Yeah, let's go in here. Charlie 24. Maybe that fuel truck will even move. That catering vehicle. Looks like they're moving. Good. All right, yeah, we'll go right in here. I don't know, get to gate Charlie 24. Fun. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Gonna have about a 2-hour video. I will timestamp it, so make it a little shorter, but it's kind of a soup to nuts on the MD-11.
Well done, guys. Scenario is over. Welcome to Boston. Now just the time for a quick coffee and prepare your aircraft for the way back to Kennedy on JetBlue 1317, just like a normal crew. We don't have too much time on ground normally. All right. I hope you enjoyed that scenario. If you have any question or comments, head up to the forum. I will be very pleased to see your comments. And I would like to thank again the pilots that helped with the voice today. Their names are in the lesson plan. Thank you guys and stay safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you, JP. Brakes are parked, seatbelt sign is off. I can do it. APU is established. You can chop the fuel levers. All right, so great flight. Nice job. Self-critique. Oh, look at that. I don't know where those throttles think they're going.
Stabilizer.
Oh, they're shutting down.
Stabilizer. Full lap.
Wants to do a self-test here.
Stabilizer.
All right, guys. Parking checks. We'll run that.
Stabilizer.
Somehow it went toga on me.
Flat. Brake. Stabilizer.
There we go. That was me. My at-home throttle thing. All right, so let's do the parking checklist. We'll do the GSX. We'll get everyone leaving.
This parking is too small for your aircraft.
I know.
Boarding requested.
Oh, no, that's not what I wanted to do. So humbling.
This parking is too small for your aircraft. The boarding requested.
Yes, that's better. We'll go with checklist. Clear the runway. Taxi highway light. Oh, we got a shutdown checklist here. What's this? Shutdown checklist. I'll see how they do. They're turning off the cargo temps, turning off the lights, beacon navs, windshield heat, APU's on, bleed is on. Nice. Very nice. You turned off the emergency light. I'll turn off the IRUs. And checklist. Let's look at that's the flow. All right, brake clear the runway, stabilizer trim. Oh yeah, we set the stabilizer trim at 3.0, and the reason is, we're back around 15 there. The reason is it gives us, there's a tick on the tail for 3 degrees nose up. So if you go out there and you walk around and you see it at 3 degrees nose up, you know that it's calibrated properly. And then there's a 0 one too for zero pitch. So if the FO didn't put it on there, you might see something different. Or they did it at 3 and it's not calibrated properly, you got a bigger problem. So it's just a way to check the calibration of the trim. Should be right on that line if he took the time to set 3.0. All right, so parking check, stabilizer trim, weather radar is off. They should have done that on the flow. It's off. Weather radar's off, APU started, parking brakes set, seatbelt signs off, external power is established. Let's go ahead and get a EFB, and we'll put on the external power, services, connect the GPU, and connect the chalk, put the chocks on, and then release the parking brakes so the brakes can cool a little better. Got 2Ls open.
May I see your boarding pass?
And how we doing?
Welcome on board.
Engine ignition's off, anti-ice is off, exterior lights are off except nav. Emergency light switch is off. The power status page, windshield anti defog. Make sure that windshield is emergency lights are off. They're off. And RUs are off. Turn down all the lighting if we weren't going right back out. There's the lighting. Lighting here. Lighting there. Come on board. And the last things you turn down would be the kind of going to get way down here. Turn off the 6 CRTs. Save the wear and tear on them. So what do you think? What do you think?
Boarding starting.
I'll tell you what I think. You get cargo version, Pratt & Whitney's, GE's, whatever your preference is. You get a passenger version, you get extended range. You get a fine airplane with great support, great group of guys, great Discord. And get to fly a vintage airplane that's in its last few years of service. My feeling, if you ask me, is it's fantastic. I love the airplane, and I'm really proud of these guys. Same thing with PMDG. Fantastic. Guys are rock stars. And we got people, hey, you don't see this every day. So by accident I hit boarding, so you got people boarding and people getting on. You don't see that every day. And don't stand too close to the flight attendants unless you want to get fired. And how's that for a park job right there? All right, guys. Father Time's out. Hope you enjoyed that. Been an honor. Been an honor working on the project. Honor making this for you guys. Don't forget to subscribe. I could use the help. Enjoy my Discord too. A lot of great guys over there. Everyone helping each other out. All right. So Father Time's out. Take care.